The power's been out for 11 days. Your freezer is a coffin full of rot. The gas stations ran dry on day 3. Somewhere on your street, a generator is coughing its last breath, and the guy who owns it is out of fuel and out of ideas. You open the window for air, and the neighborhood smells like spoiled meat and fear. But 20 miles down the road, past the last dead stoplight, there's a man in a straw hat harnessing a horse. His kids are hauling water from a well. His wife is canning green beans on a wood stove, humming. They don't know the grid is down. They don't care. For them, it's Tuesday. You've been told the Amish are a quaint little tourist attraction. Buggies and beards and furniture you can't afford. That's the postcard version. The truth is uglier and more useful. The Amish are the only large group in North America that has quietly, stubbornly, on purpose, kept 1 foot inside the collapse-proof world the rest of us bulldozed. And when the lights go out for real, they don't scramble. They just keep living. So pull up a chair. We're about to strip mine 15 of their hardest-won lessons, the kind your grandparents knew and your smartphone erased. Stick around, because the last one on this list is the one almost nobody talks about, and it's the whole reason they outlast everyone else. Lesson 1. The root cellar still works. The average American fridge dies in about 4 hours when the power cuts. A hole in the ground, lined with stone, stays between 50 and 55 degrees year-round. No electricity, no batteries, no Wi-Fi whining for a firmware update. Potatoes, carrots, cabbage, apples. 6 months of food sitting in the dirt like buried treasure. The Amish never stopped building them. You stopped because a realtor told you a finished basement resells better. Lesson 2. They can everything that doesn't run away first. An Amish pantry in November looks like a hardware store for eating. Hundreds of mason jars. Tomatoes, pickles, jam, meat broth, butter, even cake. Properly canned food lasts years. One woman can jar up 400 quarts in a season. That's a full winter of calories standing quietly on a shelf while your DoorDash app spins forever on a loading screen. Lesson 3. Water is a well, not a faucet. Most Amish homesteads have a hand pump or a windmill pump sitting right over a drilled well. No power required. No municipal chlorine. When a city water system fails, which, by the way, it only takes about 48 hours without pressure for pathogens to colonize the pipes, the Amish kid is still filling a bucket without breaking a sweat. Here's the part they don't put on the tourism brochure. A lot of Amish families also keep a spring house, basically a tiny stone shed over a cold spring that works as a refrigerator, a water source, and a meat cooler all at once. 3 survival problems, 1 rock building, 0 watts. Lesson 4. Heat comes from trees, not thermostats. A decent wood stove puts out 60 to 80,000 BTUs, cooks your food, boils your water, and dries your socks at the same time. The Amish know which woods burn hot, which burn slow, and which will fill your chimney with creosote and try to murder your family in their sleep. Oak and hickory burn hot and long. Pine burns fast and dirty. Green wood burns like a wet sponge and coats your flue in tar. They don't Google this. They teach it to a 7-year-old holding an axe. Lesson 5. The barn raising. This is the one everybody has seen in a movie and nobody actually understands. A full Amish barn, framed and sheathed, goes up in a single day with 100 neighbors swinging hammers. No contractor, no invoice, no OSHA. The whole community shows up, the women cook, the kids haul nails, and by sundown there's a building. That's not folksy charm, that's mutual aid as infrastructure. When your house burns down, you don't get a GoFundMe. You get a new house by Saturday. Lesson 6. No debt. The Amish pay cash. For land, for tools, for buggies. If they can't afford it, they don't buy it. The average American household is drowning in around $104,000 of debt. The average Amish household, functionally, carries almost none. When the economy coughs, you're selling your kidneys to keep your truck. They're not even watching the news. Lesson 7. They fix things. A broken tool in your house is a trip to Amazon. A broken tool in an Amish shop is a Tuesday afternoon. They darn socks, resole boots, rehandle axes, rebuild harnesses. There's an Amish saying, and I've heard it in person from an old man rebuilding a plow older than my grandfather. Use it up, wear it out, make it do, or do without. Tattoo that on the inside of your eyelids. It's the entire prepper philosophy in 10 words. Lesson 8. Skills over stuff. You can buy a $5,000 bug-out bag. They can sew their own clothes, butcher a hog, shoe a horse, deliver a baby, build a house, set a broken arm, and bake bread that would make a French chef weep. Gear breaks. Gear gets stolen. Gear runs out. A skill lives in your hands until the day you stop breathing. Quick check-in. If you're still with me, hit that subscribe button, because the grid doesn't send a warning text before it drops, and you don't want to miss Lesson 15. Trust me on that one. Lesson 9. They sleep with the sun. Bed at 9, up at 4:30. No screens glowing at 1 a.m. frying their melatonin. Studies out of Harvard and a sleep lab in Zurich have both shown Amish communities average deeper sleep and lower cortisol than city populations by a noticeable margin. Why does that matter in a collapse? Because a sleep-deprived person makes catastrophically bad decisions. In a grid-down scenario, your brain is your first and most important tool. They sharpen it. You dull it with TikTok. Lesson 10. They know plants. Not the crunchy wellness influencer version. The real version. Which leaf pulls a fever? Which root settles a stomach? Which bark you boil for a cough? When the pharmacies empty out to that, and they will, the medicine cabinet goes back to being the garden. Yarrow for bleeding. Plantain for stings. Elderberry for the flu. The old Amish grandmothers, the ones everyone calls grossmommy, carry a pharmacy in their heads. Lesson 11. Amish insurance. Officially, it's called Amish Aid, or the Church Fund. Unofficially, it's the thing that makes them unkillable. They don't carry commercial insurance. Instead, every family pays into the church. A barn burns, the fund pays. Someone gets cancer, the fund pays. A tornado erases a farm, the fund pays, and then 100 neighbors show up to rebuild it. They invented by hand a decentralized disaster recovery system that works when Wall Street, FEMA, and your HOA are all on fire. Let me ask you something real quick. Who would show up for you physically with tools if your house burned down tomorrow? Drop your answer in the comments. I want to hear the honest version, not the LinkedIn version, because that answer is the actual strength of your prepping plan. Lesson 12. Kids work. By age 6, an Amish child has chores. By age 12, they can run a section of the farm. By age 16, they can hand-build a chair or drive a 6-horse team through a plowed field. Meanwhile, your average suburban teenager panics if the Wi-Fi router blinks. When the collapse comes, competence is currency, and they mint it early. Lesson 13. They pick their technology on purpose. Here's a thing nobody tells you. The Amish aren't anti-technology. They're anti-being owned by technology. Every gadget gets voted on by the church community. Does this thing strengthen the family or pull it apart? Does it make us dependent on outsiders? Does it put us in the hands of a power grid, a fuel line, a stranger with a shutdown button? If the answer is bad, it's out. That's not backwardness. That's the most advanced technology policy on the continent, and the Pentagon would kill to have half that clarity. Lesson 14. They live close. 3 generations under one roof, or across the same yard. Grandpa, parents, kids, sometimes an aunt, all within shouting distance. In a crisis, that's a built-in security team, a built-in childcare network, a built-in elder wisdom bank, and a built-in labor force. We replaced that with a 2-bedroom condo and a text thread. They kept the village. We outsourced it to Uber, and Uber doesn't deliver in a blackout. Lesson 15, and this is the one. They don't fear the collapse because they never really joined the system that's collapsing. Let that one sit for a second. Everybody else is stockpiling against the end of the world they depend on. The Amish just quietly opted out. Generation by generation, decision by decision, hymn by hymn. They didn't wait for the grid to fail before learning how to live without it. Preparedness, for them, isn't a hobby or a YouTube rabbit hole. It's just the floor plan of the life. That's the secret. That's the whole secret. The rest is details. Here's the science, or really the philosophy, of why any of this matters. Resilience isn't gear. It's not bunkers, not bug-out bags, not a freezer full of ammo. Resilience is the number of basic human needs you can meet without permission from a system. Food, water, heat, shelter, medicine, community, knowledge. The Amish score high on every single one. The modern American, on a good day, scores 0. When the lights go out, that scorecard is the only thing that matters. You don't have to dress in black or give up your truck. You can steal this playbook piece by piece. Dig a small cellar. Learn to can one thing this summer. Buy a hand pump. Put in a wood stove. Pay off one card. Meet the people on your street by name. Teach your kid to use a knife without losing a finger. Every single one of those moves is one more step off the sinking ship and one more step onto dry ground. Go back to the cold open. The power's out. 11 days in. Your neighbors are frantic, but your pantry is full. Your well still works. Your wood is stacked. Your kid knows what to do. You walk out on the porch, and for the first time in your adult life, the silence of a dead grid doesn't scare you. It just sounds like Tuesday. If this one hit home, smash that like button and subscribe, because the next video in this series is the one that shows you exactly how to build the first 3 of these habits into your life inside 30 days. And when the lights flicker, you'll be glad you didn't miss it.